Before we begin, in 2019, YouTube was caught data mining children under the age of 13, violating the Child's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. Since settling, YouTube has enacted new policies meant to dodge responsibility and scapegoat creators. This video is not made for kids. It is not targeted at kids. It is not advertising to kids. Parental discretion is advised. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is the Sentinel watching over Geekdom, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. Our look at Sarah Jane Smith continues with The Dow Connection, released in August of 2002, directed by Gary Russell, written by Barry Letts. The Dow Connection stars Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith. And if you've been following along with my channel for some time, whenever I do one of these Big Finish recaps, I only recite, when it comes to the cast, I only recite the billing on the cover. And Sarah Jane Smith only credits Elizabeth Sladen. Yes, I am stalling for time, wanting to hold off talking about this, because this story is awful. Most of the time when Big Finish misses, it's average. Kinda like the Chris Chibnall era. But there have been a few stories, again, very rare, where they are genuinely bad. And this story joins that list, along with the Eighth Doctor audio, Minuet in Hell, the Unbound story, Exile, and the companion chronicle, Fear of the Daleks. I hated this story so much. And before I get into that, because I really don't want to talk about it, and I'm going to hold off as much as possible, this is an interesting fact. This is the only story Barry Letts wrote for Big Finish. Again, like with Comeback by Terrence Dicks, if he wrote something else that was adapted word salad. If he wrote something else that was meant for another medium, book, TV story, and it was adapted into Big Finish, like a Lost story, I don't know. I don't think so, though. But yeah, no, this is the only thing he wrote for Big Finish, so that's a little interesting. And, well, there are a couple things in this I like. I like Liz Sladen's performance, and I continue to like Sarah Jane's dynamic with Josh. I just wish I remembered the actor's name. And those two things are the highlight of this story, especially for someone who's never felt strongly for Sarah Jane. Keep in mind, I haven't seen a lot of her stuff yet. I haven't seen the Sarah Jane Adventures. And as far as her TV stories on Doctor Who go, I've only seen season 12, which, despite having Genesis of the Daleks, is actually not a good season. Let's be honest, it's Classic Who Series 11. And I've seen The Five Doctors and The Brain of Morbius. And I like Sarah Jane okay. I'm neutral on her. I don't feel strongly for her. But yeah, she gives a really good performance here, especially when she has to infiltrate this medical compound. She poses as a cleaning lady. And again, just the voice she puts on is really good. And as I mentioned, I liked her dynamic with Josh. We continue to see their working relationship develop. So what's the story here? Well, it opens with police fishing a dead man out of the river. And this autopsy reveals that he is an 18-year-old man. But here's the problem. He looks 70. And to make matters worse, this is a friend of Ellie's and Josh. Ellie was the young woman in Comeback who sent Josh to Sarah. Just when I did that review, I forgot her name. So Sarah decides, oh hey, you and Ellie have been such good friends to me. You've helped me a lot. I'm going to return the favor by helping you. Which, again, leads her to this medical compound that I just mentioned she infiltrates. And where do I want to go from there? Do I want to talk about where this title gets its name from, or I'm trying to... Okay, sorry, while I blanked for a second there, I just remembered what I wanted to talk about. My problem is the overarching arc of the series, or at least series 1 as far as I know, does not come into play in this story at all. And something I'm sort of starting to notice is I kind of have a problem with that. When you have a show and a season decides to do a series long arc, it's not handled consistently. And thinking about it now, that was one of my issues with series 12. And yeah, generally, I think I have a problem with that, you know? Like, you may have a story that references it kind of backhandedly, and then you'll have a story that plays really heavily into the arc, and then you'll have a story that doesn't do anything at all for it. So yeah, this story does not play into the overarching arc that was established back in Comeback, which, again, I have an issue with. Anyway, this medical compound Sarah infiltrates, she finds that the medicine is based on Taoist practices. And there is one scene in this story that has kind of been controversial because Sarah consults with a real Taoist practitioner. And it's played by a man in audio yellowface. It's a very brief scene, like brief enough to not be a huge problem. And it's not like the talents of Wang Chiang. But here's the thing. It's played completely straight. It's not like the talents of Wang Chiang, where it's played so ridiculously over the top that it's meant to be a parody. Because that's what Robert Holmes did. It was meant to be a parody of the stories that were coming out in that time period with those kinds of characters. And like I said, here, it's not. It's meant to be played completely straight, and some people will have a problem with that. But thankfully, the scene is really brief. But it is important, because this Taoist explains to Sarah that this is what Taoist practices really are. This is what they look like. This is what it does. This is what we believe. What that compound is doing is only lip service to Tao. It's not real. And as Sarah investigates, what her and Josh find out is that this compound is actually stealing the blood of young men, stealing their youth to keep their ultra-rich clients young. And I've put this off long enough. Let's get to the biggest problem with this story, the extremely disgusting villain. Like, I'm trying to avoid it because I'm not sure, but I really want to use the word homophobic. Like, because this villain plays so heavily into the evil gay stereotype, you know? He's not just a gay man who happens to be evil. He's gay because he's evil. And it is so freaking unpleasant to listen to. You know, it's like, because so much of his character revolves around the fact he's gay, and it's just, especially what the way he talks to his assistant, sort of his manservant, if you will, because the way he talks about their relationship and the way they talk to each other, it is so disgusting. And I don't think it's disgusting in the way Barry Letts intended it to be. Like, it's just, God, I hated this story so much, especially after he got introduced. And, you know, it's only small scenes at the beginning, but as the story goes on, he becomes more and more prominent. And as he talks about his relationships over the years, it's just, okay, I'm gonna stop. Liz Sladen's, I forgot to talk about that. And at the end of this story, Sarah Jane makes a really, as far as I know, out of character decision that's just kind of head scratching. Because it turns out the main antagonist is over 300 years old, because this chi he's been making, you know, again, we're talking about Tao, so chi, it doesn't make you immortal, it slows down your aging. And the main antagonist manservant has finally had enough, and he's withholding his chi from him until he gets the secret himself. And they have this big argument, and the villain shoots his manservant dead. And then when he starts leaving And when he starts, no, when Sarah comes in and confronts him about everything that's been going on, he starts feeling the side effects of having his chi withdrawn. And Sarah, in a really dark scene, just leaves him there and watches him die. Like I said, it's a very dark scene, and it feels kind of out of character for Sarah, although Liz Sladen does perform it well. It's also interesting, too, we get a couple references to the Doctor here. Like, for one thing, which I think is kind of cute, Sarah knows Venusian Aikido. And for another, as they're figuring it out, as they're investigating, Josh says, "Thanks for helping me. You seem very concerned, but you also seem really detached." And Sarah says, "Oh, must have been something I picked up from traveling with an old friend," which is another nice touch. But yeah, no, the Tao connection is terrible. Like I said, I only recommend it if you get the complete series, download. And even then, I only recommend listening to it once. It doesn't have a good hook. I'm not engaged. And ultimately, it's just a very dull story. And even though Liz Sladen gives a good performance and she plays off with Josh, those are the only good things about this story, and it doesn't save it. I'm giving the Tao connection a 1 out of 10. But those were just my thoughts. What were yours? And join me next week when we will get a bit of a palate cleanser with Test of Nerve. So, what did you think of the Tao connection? Start a conversation in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. In the description box below, you'll find the link to my Ko-fi where you can support the channel, or you'll find the link to my Twitter where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. This is the Sentinel watching over Geekdom, and I'll see you guys next time.